I'm going to title this video, Understand How the Job is Designed. A grader operator should have a good understanding of how the job is designed. If you understand how the job drains, that is, where and how the rainwater runs off, you are halfway there. Here's some questions the grader operator needs to be clear on. What is the total structure? How much of the structure is aggregate? How much of the structure is asphalt? What type of curb is it? Are there transitions in the curb? Where are the high points? Are the catch basins the low points, or are there some flow-bys? Is there a crown? If so, how much? Is it a crossfall? If so, what percentage is the crossfall? Before you start the project, it's a good idea to do a complete walkthrough. Of course, there will be a hazard assessment and a safety meeting, but this video is about how the job is designed, how it is engineered. This project is a turnaround with an island in the middle. I've just roughly placed this gravel. Jamie, as you see, is giving it a shot of water, and then we're going to pack it. As you notice, the inside is a straight face curb. The outside is a rolled mono. And the drainage here is rather interesting. That's why I wanted to shoot this video, to show you how to pay attention to where things are draining, and that tells you so much. Here, I drew out where the CBs are. And you see, on the outside, there's about 3 CBs. But on the inside island there, on the straight face curb, there's only 1 CB. And it's the low point. And so all the inside water drains to that CB. There's a crown down the center of this. So it's a rather interesting design, that is for sure. You can see how that curb slopes downward to that CB. You have to pay attention to all that stuff when you're building this stuff. Now here is the crown runs down the center here, right where I'm walking. And then it transitions into a parabolic crown as we start onto the street here. So there's a lot of stuff to pay attention to when you're finished grading this stuff. Rob's just dumping a few trucks there. Now here is a different job. I wanted to show you this dog leg to show you how crazy and complex the grades can get on these jobs. And if you didn't understand how it was graded, how it was designed, you'd be quite puzzled when you graded through here, when the grade man started giving you some bizarre numbers. But if you understand it, then they make sense, you see. This station right here is a high point. It's written right on the lath. We've neglected to mark that high point, but it is right there. And as I pan sideways here, you'll see that on this dog leg, there's a CB right there, so that's got to be a low point. And as I pan the other way, there is another CB right there, so there's another low point. So now, as you were grading this monoberm on the outside perimeter there, within about 30 meters, you'd be going through a low point, up to a high point, and back down to a low point. So that's why you need to understand how these jobs are designed and how they're engineered. Or, you'd be quite puzzled as you were grading through there. But if you understand it, well, then it's fine. Okay, here's another job. We're doing some pre-grading. This job, the design is rolled mono on the outside, straight face curb on the inside. So I was going to show you this radius. Teresa claims that it changes in elevation 30 centimeters just in this one radius. So from the beginning of the corner to the end of the corner, 30 centimeters elevation change. So that's how fast it climbs. And you do see that type of grading, and sometimes, especially in radiuses. And if you don't understand that it's engineered that way, you might question the grades, you know. There's the high point stakes. I always appreciate it when these guys mark the high point stakes. It's those crosses there, those pink crosses. And it lets me keep that in mind. And it lets the buggy operator, if he's picking up on the road, he can keep that in mind by watching those stakes. On this one particular job, there's a water valve that's right on grade here. They couldn't get it lowered any lower, so here it is. It's right on grade. And you have to be really careful with these. You got to remember that they're there. There's the cover for it right there. And you got to remember that they keep in mind that they're there, because if you break those, it's a big fix. She's 10 feet down to the bottom if you got to fix them. You see, on this particular job, because there's only monowalk on the outside, if you build a house on the inside of this particular site, you wouldn't have a sidewalk. If you wanted to use the sidewalk, you'd have to cross the street and use the sidewalk on the outside. I guess they're saving a little bit of money by doing it that way. This dog leg is the same way. It climbs really fast. And by the way, on these dog legs, you lose the quarter crown when you're doing them. So, like, down this whole street is a parabolic crown. But as you come into these dog legs, you lose the parabolic part of the crown and you just turn it into a straight crown. So you just go from the center line right out to the outside edge, and just in the dog leg, that is. That's just normal procedure to do it that way. Well, this job also has a few flow-by CBs. So you may assume that the CB is the low point, and it usually is. But the odd time there's a flow-by, and that is the CB is in the curb, but it isn't the low point. The water just flows. Some of the water falls into the CB, and if it's raining really hard, then the rest of the water might carry on down to the next CB. So the odd time you run into that. Whenever you see a fire hydrant, there's always a 6-inch valve beside it. So you got to keep that in mind. And you usually have to work right up to those 6-inch valves. In order to get the outside perimeter out far enough, you basically got to graze them with your blade pretty well, which is fine. These guys are doing a little boning. You see, they've made grading dots on the outside edge there, and they're using the boning rods to shoot across just to see how we're doing for volume on this road. The next step will be to stabilize this road. To create these videos, I am using footage that I shot on the job site last summer. If you find these videos helpful or interesting, please like and subscribe. If you have some input, please leave a comment below.